Namaste. Welcome to yet another session of Advaita Academy's Global Festival of Oneness, celebrating the life and works of Adi Shankara. Let us start with a prayer. Sada Shiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. We are very pleased to have with us today P Lakshminarayanan, who is going to talk on the topic Vedanta for Youths. Before we get on to the talk, I'd like to introduce the speaker. Lakshminarayanji is a senior disciple of the internationally renowned philosopher Swami Parthasarathi. He left his engineering career and joined the full-time residential course on Vedanta organized by the Vedanta Academy. For 3 years, he learned Vedanta, and now for the last over 20 years, he has been conducting Vedanta study classes in both in India and abroad. He routinely delivers talks with various companies and organizations on topics such as essentials to excellence, stress management, time management, and anger management. We are very pleased to have Lakshminarayanji with us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So on this auspicious occasion of Shankara Jayanti, we have been given the topic Vedanta for Youth. Now, always there is a misconception that Vedanta is for old people, retired people. It is considered as a post-retirement course. Vedanta is eternal wisdom. It is like a big tree, and whoever comes under the tree, it protects. In fact, the very term Shastra means teach and protect. So, to live means to learn and live. We need to learn the subject as to how to live and then proceed. Even Thiruvalluvar in Thirukkural beautifully says, Enni thuniga karmam tuninda pin ennuvam enbadu ilukku. Before plunging into living, before plunging into doing any action, we got to learn and then act. So knowledge is essential base to be able to live. And therefore, youth is not an exception. In fact, the younger you are, the better it is. You should learn when you are young and then understand the knowledge, try to put it into practice, and then bring about the transformations and proceed and grow further and further in life. So when we talk about youth, youth means exuberance, energy, vigor, full of vitality, raring to go, desperate to go, cheerfulness. Like a sapling, youth is a sapling. It's a stage very important in life. The roots have to delve deep of a tree. Only then the tree will give sufficient fruits. So therefore, during youth, we need to develop our buddhi. Even the invocation to Bhagavad Gita written by Swami Madhusudana Saraswati, when he addresses sage Vyasa, he says, Vyasam Vishala Buddhi. That buddhi has to become broad, sharp. That is very, very important. So youth stage is a very important stage in life. One needs to have direction, the right direction. During younger age, when we lack direction, it becomes detrimental to us individually and to the society. So, especially in today's context, you find there is a lot of youth lacking direction. Therefore, you talk about a lot of violence, disharmony, terrorism, all kinds of issues. So, youth means energy and it requires direction. When a child is born, only the physical body is born initially. Slowly, slowly, the mind develops around the age of 6, 7. And then around the age of 11, 12, slowly, slowly, the intellect starts growing, starts manifesting. You start asking questions. And that's the time in our physical body, the hormonal changes also happen. So there is a big tug of war between the hormones and the intellect. And mostly the hormones succeed. Mostly the hormones win. So we need to strengthen the intellect and be able to control our impulses. Manushya, when we say human being, the Sanskrit term for that is Manushya. Manushya means one who thinks, one who uses the mind. Manava Jati. Use the mind to think and function. Mind here means intellect. So a human being is one who is able to function based on his thinking capacity, not based on his impulses or emotions. Whereas the animals are exactly opposite. In fact, in Tamil language for animal, the word is Kal Nadai. Kal Nadai means it walks on legs. Human beings also walks on legs. Then why are they called as Kal Nadai? Because even though human beings walk on legs, we use our intellect, think and then walk. Whereas an animal, it has no purpose in life. If a cow is walking by or a buffalo is walking by, you don't ask the cow, what is the purpose? Where are you going? Which direction are you going? It lacks purpose. It has no purpose. If the cow sees a little fodder the other side, it will cross the road and go the other side. It is directed entirely by the senses. Whereas a human being has the capacity to function purely based on the intellect's guidance. So, therefore, it is important for us to develop the intellect. So, who is a human being? So, let us see in this chart here. Who is this human being? A human being is none other than animal plus a little higher. Higher values, higher awareness, higher thinking ability. Only such a person is called as human being, isn't it? All of us have essentially evolved basically from a single cell. Single cell we have all evolved. And therefore we are an evolved animal. We are none other than thinking animal, evolved animal. So the latent animal tendencies are present in us. There is enormous amount of animal tendencies in us. Therefore, it becomes extremely important for us to think and function because we are provided with the choice of action. A human being alone has what is called as choice of action. A tiger will kill and eat. It won't be a tiger will never be a vegetarian. A cow will be a vegetarian. It will only eat, grass and other stuff. It will never be a non-vegetarian. Only human beings force the cows without the cows' knowledge, mix something in the cows and gave the cows to eat. And then when the cows developed certain disease, they called it as mad cow disease. It should not be called as mad cow disease. It's mad human being disease. If you notice in the world, all the trouble in this universe is brought by human beings because of lack of intellect, because of lack of thinking. The global warming is not due to the animals, it's due to the human being. Everything, all the destruction comes from the human being. So therefore, it becomes extremely important that the human being develops the intellect to guide and proceed in life. If ungoverned, a human being functions as an animal, sometimes even worse than animal. Animals don't function the way we function in certain areas. Animals don't get into a shopping mall and then have mass killing, mass murdering. They just function on instinct. So, a human being, if the intellect is not developed, is more dangerous than the animal. Extremely dangerous. And in fact, the human being is the cause for all the issues, all the trouble in this universe, including the pandemic that's going on now. There's a lot of debate as to whether it is, a lot of conspiracies. And we don't know whether they're true or false. But it is because of the human greed, nothing but the human greed. So, ungoverned human being is a danger for the society and danger for oneself. So, Vedanta is a knowledge that provides the technique of living. Vedanta is nothing but the knowledge of life and living. The end portion of the Vedas, called the Antbhaga Vedas, where the Upanishads are given, they talk about the technique of living. What are the goals of life? Talks about the 4 goals, Purusharthas. As we all know, there has been lectures going on for so many days here, so I'm sure these points were covered before. No, Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. So it provides us direction. What is Vedanta? It provides us direction. It's knowledge of life and living. It talks about your true self. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. What is your real self? What is the false notion? So by clear understanding of life, we get the clarity. When a person is lost in a desert, assuming that he has no mobile phone or GPS, nothing, how would he get back to his city? He has to take the guidance of the sun above, isn't it? He knows the direction in which the sun rises is called the east. So once he knows this is the direction, then from there, he fixes west, north, south, northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast. Every direction becomes clear. Similarly, the Vedantic knowledge provides the knowledge of our true self, and then it gives us the clarity, direction, how to proceed in life. So by digesting the Vedantic knowledge, one becomes dynamic at the physical level. At the body level, we become dynamic. At the mind level, we become calm, composed, serene. At the intellect level, we think originally, independently. We should have the ability to think independent. Most of us follow herd instinct, what they call as Bechar. Everything that we do, we just ape. We just follow, imitate. No animal imitates. They function based on their instincts. A cow doesn't try to be a tiger. A tiger doesn't try to be a zebra. A cow will be a cow. You go into the flower world, flowers also. Jasmine will be jasmine. Rose will be rose. It's only the human being who tries to imitate. We lose that capacity to think when we have not really grown as a human being. So when we say grown up, see, by default, we become adults. If we just manage to live, eat, and survive, we will become adults. You pass 18 years, you will become adult. Now, but can you be called as a grown-up? You are a grown-up only when your body is put to use properly. Your mind is able to be calm and composed. When your intellect is able to think independently. Whatever may be the instincts or impulses, you should be able to think and see whether it is good for you or not. Then take the decision. The ability to decide and function, only then you are a human being. Only then you are a grown-up individual. Only then you are a mature person. So therefore, Vedantic knowledge, it gives you that ability to think independently. This is what the Shastras talk about. They are collective experiences of all the masters. It is just put in a logical order. So when you study this knowledge under the Guru, you develop clarity in life. You develop higher values and clarity in life. So therefore, it is taught in the free spirit of questioning. Bhagavad Gita is in the form of question answer session. Upanishads, question answer session. There is an Upanishad called Prashna Upanishad. Prashna means question. So everything is a question answer session. Education is to eke out, to draw out. So the true purpose of education is to make a human being a real human being. That's why Swami Chinmanandaji calls it as the art of man-making. Just because we are born in this human form doesn't mean we become human beings. Only when we have the capacity to control our impulses and emotions do we become human beings. So we need to strengthen the intellect through questioning. So in Vedanta, always the knowledge is imparted, allowing you to question. Rudyard Kipling, he says, I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what, why, when, how, where, who. Constant questioning. And the most difficult thing to do is to question the obvious. What everybody accepts as truth. To question that is not easy. Because when you question that, there's a fear that you will be shunned. In fact, it happened, isn't it? We believed that it is the sun that is revolving around the earth. And then when somebody came and proved that it's the other way around, initially nobody accepted that. And similarly, we believed that the earth is flat. And then somebody came and proved that it's not flat, it's spherical. It was stoned to death. So similarly, there is a fear in us when we question the obvious that we will also be shunned. But Vedanta encourages you to question. In fact, when you read the dialogues in the Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita or any scripture, there's constant, questioning by the student. Of course, with devotion, not egoistically. So we have accepted that this form, this world, everything as it is as real. We don't question that. So Vedanta questions even that. Everything it makes you question, and then step by step, it takes you from the known to the unknown, and ultimately it takes you to the truth which is within you. So this questioning spirit is extremely important, and that's what Vedanta inculcates. It makes you think. If you're not developing your intellect, you succumb to your emotions, impulses. This is what happened to Arjuna. Arjuna was extremely intelligent in the art of archery. He had tremendous experience. He was skillful. He was intelligent in the art of warfare. He had everything. Yet, he succumbed to his emotions at the right time. He could not function. Similarly, today, in the modern world, we are bombarded with information. We have YouTube, we have all kinds of exposure. We are bombarded with information from all directions. There's no dearth for information. The necessary, unnecessary, everything is gone. So, we have intelligence, but do we have the capacity to control our instincts? See, a psychologist conducted a test in a group of kids. He put across a few chocolates and told them that, would you like to eat this chocolate? I'll give you one each. They said, yes, of course, we would love to. Who would not love to? Especially kids. And then he said, I'll give you 2 if you follow what I say. What is that? I'll be going out for about 15 minutes. Then I come back. The chocolates are here. You're free to eat if you want, 1 each. But when I come back, if you have those who have not eaten, I'll give them 1 more. How is it? So they said, of course, I would like to take 2. So all you need to do is wait for about 10-15 minutes till I come back. If you have not eaten, I'll give you 2. We left. The cameras were fixed without children's knowledge. Nobody knew. So as soon as he left, some children started eating the chocolate. Very few children waited for him to come back. And those children who didn't eat that first chocolate, he gave them the second one. And after about 15 years or so, when he went and checked with them again, those children who had the capacity to control their instincts and impulses, they were doing better in their life, their exams and career and everything. Those children who did not have the capacity to control, they were not doing better. So this is exactly the knowledge that Vedanta provides. This is called the essential knowledge. All other knowledge that you get in the world is important knowledge. That is also important. But this is essential. And this is young in the sense, it is always applicable. It was applicable during Arjuna's time. It is applicable during our time. It will be applicable later on. When somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, why you talk about Bhagavad Gita so much? Did it really happen that Sri Krishna gave this knowledge to Arjuna? And all these questions were asked. He said, I don't know. But I believe that it was given by Sri Krishna to Arjuna. But whether it was given or not, I don't care. But this knowledge is still relevant. So this knowledge, the essential knowledge, provides us material to think. There's nothing imposed. All you need to do is reflect on it. And then when you reflect on it, you will be developing your intellect. If your intellect is not developed, buddhi nashat pranashyati, says the Bhagavad Gita. It is in fact the buddhi that confers the status of a human being, isn't it? Otherwise we become animals, or even worse than animals, like I said. Therefore, we need to strengthen the buddhi. And in the 62nd and 63rd verse of chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, called the Sankhya Yoga, Sri Krishna says how a human being falls. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangaste shupa jayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodot vijayate krodat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smriti vibramaha smriti bramshat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. How does the whole thing start? The whole thing starts with a thought. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. Vishaya means sense object. When your thoughts indiscriminately dwell on an object, constantly when it dwells on an object, it becomes little strong. And at that stage, it's called sangha. Sangha means attachment. So, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangaste shupa jayate. Then, sangat sanjayate kamaha. And from attachment, when you further dwell on it, it becomes desire. Kama means desire. When the desire is interrupted, and someone comes in between you and the object of the desire, your thought current from you to the object is intercepted by that person. So that intercepted thought current is called anger. To develop anger, krodha. Kama krodot bijayate. Krodha bhavati sammoha. Moha means delusion. You don't know what is right, what is wrong. You are utterly confused. Like Arjuna was completely confused. He admits. First chapter he didn't admit. He didn't know. In the second chapter of the Gita, he admits. Karpanya dosha upahata subhavaha pichamitvam dharma sammura chetaha yashreyasya anishchitam bruhitanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapam. I'm confused. I'm overpowered by emotions. Karpanya dosha. By weak pity. Upahata subhavaha. My nature is overpowered by weak pity. Prichamitvam dharma sammura chetaha. What is right? What is wrong? What is dharma? I don't know. So I'm asking you. Yashreyasya nishchitam bruhitanme. Tell me what is shreya, what is good for me. Why you should tell me? Shishyasteham shadimam tvam. I am your disciple. So tell me. So initially he was deluded. He didn't know what is right, what is wrong. So when the desire comes, krodha comes. Not only krodha, though in this particular verse, he only talks about krodha. But other things also come. Lobha, bhaya, everything comes. Arrogance, jealousy, everything comes. So, krodha bhavati sammoha, delusion. Out of anger, you tell your boss, you keep the job, man. I'm resigning. I'm giving it up. You take it. And he says, yeah, think about it. Think about it. You say, yeah, you keep the job. I don't need it. You keep it. You resign and go away. after 2-3 days, you're trying to meet your boss to take back your resignation. By the time you submitted and it's accepted. So when you are angry, you do not know what you're doing. You become completely ignorant and overpowered. Even your hands tremble. You have no control over yourself. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. All your knowledge will go for a toss. All the information that you've got, your memory will be lost. All your intelligence that you gained in schools and colleges will go for a toss. And then what happens? Smriti Bramshat Buddhi Nashaha. Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Once the buddhi is gone, everything is gone. This is what the Gita says in the very beginning itself. So that is why we say, when we are young, we need to learn this knowledge. We need to fortify our thinking capacity, the buddhi, intellect. If we don't develop the intellect, then what will happen to us is we will fall. That's what it's showing. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. So the real problem is not outside. The problem is within us. The first thing that Vedanta teaches us. You conquer your mind, you conquer the world. So the problem is within you in the form of the mind. This again in the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 5, chapter 6, he talks about it. Dared atmanatmanam, natmanam avasatayet, atmaiva atmano bandhuhu, atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Lift yourself by yourself. May you not let you down. Your Atman alone is your friend. Atma here means the mind, little self. Your Atma alone is your bandhu, relative, friend. Your Atma alone is your enemy, Ripu. Your mind alone is your friend. Your mind alone is your enemy. So the emotions, the impulses, the likes and dislikes within, which we call as mind, manas, needs to be directed by the intellect called as buddhi. When the mind is under the control of our intellect, it becomes our friend. When the mind is not under the control of our intellect, it becomes our enemy. Uncontrolled mind is the cause of all devastation. Uncontrolled mind. So therefore, that's why we say there's a, song. They sing that. हमको मन की शक्ति देना, मन विजय करे, दूसरों को जय से पहले खुद को जय करे. The most important learning in life is to learn to control and direct our mind, which is the most difficult thing. No school or university teaches that. Vedantic knowledge primarily teaches that. Ultimately, of course, it takes you beyond the mind. But today the topic is Vedanta for youth. So that's why we said youth means tremendous energy, requires direction. So we are trying to gain information about the world and think that we are sufficiently equipped to go and live in this world. But when we get into the world, we find ourselves inadequate. We don't know what to do when challenges confront us. In fact, the situation now, during this pandemic, most of us are sitting at home. Everybody is sitting at home. There's lockdown everywhere now. And people are finding it difficult. They're not able to sit in one place. Why? Because the mind is running. The mind is running restlessly. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, Arjuna asks how this mind, which is restless, can be controlled. And he gives 4 adjectives to the mind. He says, Chanchalam, Pramati, Balavat, Dridam. Chanchalam means restless. The mind is restless. That's the nature of the mind. It will not be in one place. The mind is compared to monkey. Monkey will not sit in one place. It will jump from one place to another. Even if it is in one place, it will be fidgeting, it will be scratching. So our mind is compared to the monkey. That's why in the zoo they give the biggest cage to the monkey because it can't sit in one place. So our mind goes from past to future. It never remains in the present. So if we want success, if we want to excel, we need to control the mind. A lot of people define success in different ways. But truly speaking, what is success? When you learn to control and direct your mind, then you are a successful individual. And to achieve any success, this is very, very essential. When there's a match between Roger Federer and Nadal, if somebody's service is good, somebody's return is good. If somebody's particular shot is good, another person has a different shot which he is excellent. So they are equal in many ways. But when it comes to that particular match, whosoever is able to control their mind better than the other succeeds. In fact, I read somewhere, Sachin Tendulkar, when he used to play for India, when there was a match against Australia, his favorite shot, I believe, is cover drive. And once when he was playing against Australia in a test match, he played a cover drive, little uppish, and they caught him, and he was out. So he was determined not to play cover drive in the next match. So he went to the net, he practiced all shots, and without practicing cover drive for a few days, he came back and played that match, scored a century without a single cover drive. So what made him succeed is not his skill alone, his ability to control his impulses, his instincts. That is essential. That's why he is Sachin Tendulkar. Even though he could have played the cover drive, but he said, no, let me control my instincts. Because they've set the field accordingly. So therefore, real success is conquering the mind. So Guru Nanak Ji also says, conquer the mind, you conquer the world. Which is the most difficult thing. And that's what Vedanta deals with. It teaches you how to conquer the mind. And it educates us what is Shreya, what is Preya. There are two things. What is good, what is pleasant. And always our mind is interested in choosing what is pleasant. It's natural. And by educating us and strengthening our intellect, we choose what is Shreya. In fact, the question which I quoted, which Arjuna asked, he also asked, what is Shreya? I want to know that. What is good for me? So it's the most difficult thing to do. So it talks about Shreya and Preya. And it tells us that our thoughts creates our destiny. Our thoughts creates our destiny. As you think, so shall you become. Yat bhavam tat bhavati. So it is extremely important to dwell into our thoughts and see what kind of thoughts we have. We don't have time for it, isn't it? See, we say the best time to study Vedanta is early hours of the day. First thing in the morning, to study the scripture. Studying the scripture is not just going through the information, reflecting. And then developing your intellect to see the thoughts. What kind of thoughts are inside? Because thoughts create our destiny. You see, every day we are using our credit cards and buying so many things. So when we swipe the credit cards, there's a receipt that comes along with it. So many things we put in our bags. We don't check on a daily basis. We don't look into it and see what is needed, what is not needed, tear it and throw it. We don't do that. We go on collecting all sorts of things. The bag becomes heavy. When we are not able to carry it and it becomes too much, what do? We completely empty the bag and then segregate what is needed, what is not needed. And what is not needed, you throw in the bin. What is needed, you file it properly. The bag becomes empty. We don't do that with reference to our thoughts. We don't do that at all. The moment we strengthen our intellect, we will see what kind of thoughts we have. We today believe that somebody sitting up the cloud is determining our destiny. No. What determines our destiny? Thoughts. Thought becomes word. Word becomes action. And the repeated action becomes habit. You keep on doing something, it becomes bit. Bit becomes habit. And the habit becomes habit. So thought becomes word. From thought comes word. From word comes action. From action comes habit. From habit comes destiny. There's nobody sitting up the cloud and writing our destiny. Swami Ramtita says, if somebody is sitting up the cloud, poor fellow will catch cold disease. It's your own thoughts that determine your destiny. See, in the school, when they ask you who killed Ravana, of course you should write Lord Rama killed Ravana. But Lord Rama is not a serial killer going about looking for people to kill. It is Ravana who killed himself by his own actions. That's why Vedanta teaches us that you are punished or rewarded by your actions, not for your actions. People believe that there is God sitting up the clouds and writing the destiny. They talk about luck, fate, and all that. In fact, in Sanskrit, the word for luck is adrishta. Because Vedanta teaches us that everything in this universe is a cause and effect relationship. It's a beautiful cosmos. It's not a chaos. For every cause, there is an effect. And every effect had a cause. We may not know the cause. When the effect is positive and we do not know the cause, we call it luck. When the effect is negative and we do not know the cause, we call it fate. But everything is a cause and effect relationship. Unconsciously, unintelligently, when we live in this world, mechanically, we are going on collecting thoughts, the impressions, samskaras. And those samskaras only will come out as your thoughts, word, action, habit, destiny. So we are caught in this spiral, From vasanas, thought, desire, action, and then from action, again we create vasanas, and then we are caught in this samsaric cycle. And then we think that somebody is controlling us. We are given the freedom to choose our thoughts. What kind of thoughts go in? So, if we are able to filter negativity, simply because something is available free, we indulge. See, somebody asked me to see that documentary in, I think in Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. It was a fascinating documentary. It talks about many things. And one of the things is how we consume the internet now. Free. Everything free. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all free. The mind, the moment something is free, we jump. Again in Vedanta, in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna teaches, one who eats without producing is a thief. Stena eva saha. Our human mind, when Vedanta talks about, it talks about the three temperaments of the mind, called the sattvic, the highest, rajasic, the mediocre, and tamasic, the lowest. The lowest category of human beings, tamasic human beings, they eat without producing. They consume without contributing. And the Rajasic, he says, they cook but eat sin. They contribute but for their own consumption. So he says they are selfishly acting. When they act selfishly, the mind produces agitation. Selfish mind will never be satiated. Never be satiated. So they cook, but they eat sin, means agitation. And then he talks about sattvic person, sattvic mind. He says, sattvic person eats the remnants of sacrifice. After having contributed for the larger society, he eats the remnants of sacrifice. That is how an individual who's got the intellect will function. See, the quality of our life will be superior when our thought quality is superior. All the time we think about me, myself, the small I. Vedanta talks about the small I and the big I. So when we understand that truth, we raise in our thinking abilities. Our thinking becomes broadened. Not alpa buddhi, vishala buddhi. Always me. The more the thought of me, the productivity goes down. See, a person may be generally a chatterbox, maybe talking too much. You give him a podium, tell him to talk. He mumbles, he can't talk. He goes on. Why? Because he becomes so self-conscious. When you become so self-conscious, your productivity goes down. This is the problem. Therefore, we need to learn to handle our ego and mind. These are the obstacles. The obstacles are in the form of mind and ego. 4 words are used. Vairinam, Nitya Vairinam, Shatru, Paripantinam. 4 words are used to talk about the mind as an obstacle, as an enemy, as a problem. So the egoistic desires and the egoistic attitude, they come in our productivity and peace. All the time keep thinking about me. Our productivity goes down and we become agitated, tremendously agitated. You know, a king was ruling his kingdom very nicely, but he was tremendously stressed. His citizens were happy, but he was highly stressed. So somebody told him to go to a king, a Muni. That particular Muni teaches how to fight the stress and achieve peace. So he went to him. He said, I am the king of this land. I'm doing my duties correctly, but I'm terribly agitated. So I need peace. So please teach me how I can gain peace. Teach me some meditation techniques or something so that I can gain peace. So he said, no problem. You said you are the king. But to learn these techniques and master them and get rid of your stress, it will take few, days. Till then, who's going to rule your kingdom? So that's a good question. So what do I do? So he said, okay, appoint somebody as the king till you learn this. As a CEO. So he said, okay. So then he appointed the sage, the Muni, as the king because he is the only one who is really peaceful. So the Muni said, okay, he became the king. So he said, okay, now you teach me how to become peaceful. He said, now that you made me the king, I need to think because I don't have the experience to rule. So I need to think how to rule. So he said, the best way to do it is appoint a CEO on my behalf to rule it. So what do? The best candidate in this country is you. Only you can go and rule. So what to do? I am appointing you as the CEO to go back and rule. So now what has happened is, the sage has become the king and the king has become the CEO. And the CEO has to listen to the king's, dictate. So he went back and he was ruling. But strangely now he doesn't find the work strenuous at all. Why? Because earlier he was ruling with kartrutva. I am doing it. I am doing. Ego. But now he's only a CEO. He's only a trustee. I'm only a trustee. So the moment he got that change in attitude, he brought about the change in attitude from being the owner to the trustee, immediately stress was released. So the stress is not external, stress is internal. It is caused by our own egoistic mind, egocentric desires. So all this knowledge of Vedanta teaches us. I try to put them in some kind of an order to inspire, to learn when we are young. Because ultimately all of us are looking for combining peace and prosperity, peace and productivity. Why are we not able to be productive? Because we don't have the ability to pay attention, to concentrate, to control our mind and direct it. We do not have that ability. Why are we stressful? Because of this I. The trusteeship attitude is not there. So the moment we learn to handle this mind and ego, we are able to combine both peace and prosperity. That is why it becomes extremely important to learn this knowledge, which is essential knowledge when we are young, to strengthen the intellect. How do we strengthen the intellect? My Guru, Swami Parthasarathi, he says, question everything. Don't accept anything for granted. And when you study the scripture on a daily basis, you are exercising your intellect. The scriptures provide you material to think. How do you build your muscles? By exercising your muscles, by going to the gym and exercising, you build your muscles. Similarly, Vedantic knowledge provides you enough material to exercise your thinking. And when you on a regular basis, on a daily basis, you exercise your thinking, your intellect builds. Gain strength over your own mind, gain strength over your own ego. You're able to see them from distance, watch, and then accordingly direct. See, a cricketer is able to face the ball because he is constantly watching the ball and the bowler is delivering it. What is the line and length? What speed it is coming? He immediately analyzes that, and then either he goes backward or forward and then strikes the ball accordingly, creates that little distance between him and the ball and strikes the ball to the boundary. So similarly, we need to create that distance by understanding the mind and ego, and which is what Vedanta teaches. As I said, ultimately it teaches us about moksha and many other things. But initially, we need to learn this art, what we call as art of self-management, which is the most essential knowledge. By gaining that, then we can slowly move to the highest grade. So with that, we can conclude today's session on Vedanta for youth. Now, I believe if you have any questions, we can take it up.
Thank you, Lakshminarayanji, for this wonderful session and for all of us to understand the need for both peace and prosperity. You can actually switch off your presentation so that we can. Yeah. We have a few questions. So one of the questions is, this, of course, this understanding is imbibed through the knowledge, but what are also some of the practices that the youth and all of us can undertake to imbibe these principles of peace, having a stress-free life and functioning without the ego, so to speak?
See, first of all, every human being is made up of a physical body, mind, and intellect. Right? We have a physical body, we have a mind, we have an intellect. Of course, we have what we call as the spirit or Atma, which is our real self. So when you talk about stress, first thing we need to understand is it is the same world that all of us are living in. Now this corona pandemic situation is same for me and you and all of us, right? But somebody is stressed, somebody is not stressed. So situation being same, somebody is not coming under stress, and somebody is coming under stress. So where is the problem? The problem is inside, not outside. The first thing I need to realize is this. The problem is within me, not without. Most of the time what we say is, if only I can change my wife, if only I can change my husband, if only I can change my boss, if only I can change my children or politician, everything will be fine. We always say the cause is external. No, the cause is internal. First thing I need to understand. And you are asking for some practical tips. Apart from knowledge, ultimately what fortifies your intellect is knowledge. By constantly exercising yourself in that knowledge only, you strengthen the intellect. By constantly thinking, exercising your intellect only, you will strengthen the intellect. Apart from that, what is important is to keep yourself active. Idle mind is a devil's workshop. We all sit down, active. Some people say, I go for a walk half an hour, 45 minutes every day. But if I want a glass of water when I come home, I call somebody else and they will bring me the glass of water. If somebody is ringing the bell, I say somebody else to go and open the door. I don't go and open the door. I need to keep myself active. And I need to engage myself in unselfish work, not selfish work. So physically, we need to be active. Also, it's important as to what we eat, how much we eat, how we eat, when we eat. And when I say eat, I mean any consumption. Unmindful consumption of this internet today. And a lazy, lethargic lifestyle is also adding to our stress. So we need to take care of that, So eat right, sleep right. That is also very important. Because nowadays what is happening is, especially youngsters, they are compromising on their sleep, and then in the name of being dynamic, working and internet and all that, they're compromising on this. Sleep is essential. I can't go deep into it now because I have very little time. So you need to take care of your sleep. At least 6 to 8 hours in a day, one must sleep. Quality sleep should be there. So at least make sure you're sleeping by 10 o'clock. You don't, watch the internet or something at least about 1.5 hours before that. Should stop. At least the basic minimum thing you should do. Because if the blue light is going to enter your pineal gland, it's going to make you secrete the chemical which will keep you awake. So, all these kind of disciplines. So eat right, sleep right, and then move more. Active lifestyle. Very, very important. As a practical tip, I'm saying. And if you can get into yoga and pranayama, that's very good. In fact, pranayama and japa is an excellent practice for stress. Because what happens whenever we get stressed, there is parasympathetic nervous system, and in our nervous system, the imbalance happens. Sympathetic nervous system starts kicking in. And then the negative chemicals start secreting. So we need to balance it out by doing pranayama. Pranayama means control of breath, control of pranas. So for example, when I'm talking, I can't talk when I'm inhaling. Nobody can talk when they're inhaling. You can only talk when you are exhaling, isn't it? You try talking. When you inhale, you can't talk. So when you're talking, you're exhaling. So in pranayama, what do? There's a long exhalation, isn't it? You breathe in through your left nostril and then breathe out through the right. And when you breathe out, they say it should be twice the count of the breathing. Similarly, you alternate breathing. Through the right, you breathe in, and then through the left, you breathe out. Again, long exhalation. So when you do long exhalation, the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in and it quietens you. So all these are helpful, but ultimately you need to strengthen the intellect. In Japa also, same thing happens. You say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's a long exhalation. So whenever there is long exhalation, it helps in quietening the mind. That's why even when children are throwing tantrum, you give them a glass of water and then you make them breathe. Just breathe. Okay. And then they are available to at least, talk to them. So you can use those things as help to control your stress. But ultimately, it is only the knowledge that will help you, nothing else.
We'll take one more question as we're running out of time. Ravindra Murthy says, you talk about choosing one's thought. This would require a thinker. In the light of Vedanta, the thinker himself becomes the thought. When the thinker himself or herself is a thought, where is the question of one choosing thoughts? That is his question.
See, what he's talking about is deep philosophy, right? Where ultimate subject is only Atma. So you are able to watch your own mind. When you are able to watch your own mind, automatically the choice happens to be on the positive side. You don't have to put in any effort. See, when there is awareness, there is only goodness that will come out of it. See, those days we used to have this analog cameras, no? So there was a film roll that is given in the camera. You can click about 36 pictures, photos, and then that film roll is put in a small box and given in the photo studio. And the person there takes it to the dark room. This film roll is called negative. It takes it to the dark room and develops it. When the film roll is exposed to the light, it cannot be developed. Isn't it? It cannot be developed. So, whenever the negative is exposed to light, you cannot develop it. It can only be developed in the dark room. So when we have not lit the lamp of our Atma from within, all these negativities will be there. But once you become aware, what that gentleman was talking about, where you are able to see the thinker itself becoming thought and all that kind of level, where you raise your awareness to that height, then you don't have to consciously make any effort to choose. Automatically, it will all be positive. Because once you have grown to that level of knowledge, that level of awareness, consciously you will not fall into a pit. Impossible. That's why we say, Sri Krishna, avatara, avatarati iti avatara, one who consciously comes down. When you can't, see, when somebody is walking on the road, talking on the phone, using a mobile phone and walking, and there is a small pit, he will fall into it. Right? But you are walking behind him consciously. You see that person going down. Out of compassion, you go down. You're going down consciously to go help him to come out, bring him out. Right? So when you become conscious, there's no question of falling. So when you become aware, when you rise to that level, there's no question of falling. That's why Sri Krishna is called as Achyuta. Achyuta means one who is never fallen.
Thank you so much, Lakshminarayan-ji. We are coming to the end of the session. And once again, this has been a very valuable learning for us, how to attain both peace and knowledge and prosperity. Thank you very much. Viewers, we have many more sessions for the rest of the month. I'd like to make a few announcements before we come to the end of this session. The first announcement is that Indic Renaissance Fund is pleased to announce a scholarship scheme for 6 students who are interested in applying for Chinmaya Mission's Vedanta Sadhaka course, 1-year Vedanta Sadhaka course. You can apply directly to the mission and indicate your interest in this scholarship. A video will run at the end of this session and you can get more details from there. The second announcement is Advaita Academy is very pleased to start a course It's titled How to Attain Moksha. And this course is running between June 17th to July 29th every Thursday, and it's taken by Vedanta scholar and teacher K. Kadiresan. So please register on Advaita Academy's websites. There are limited seats, so please register and understand how to attain moksha. We have more sessions, as I said, coming up. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. India time, we have Swamini Vimalananda talk to us about Dhyana Swarupam, the nature of meditation. So see you at 7 a.m. India time. Thank you very much and good night.